just wanted to pick up my tool. Well, thanks for the applause anyway. I don't know about you guys, but I think these laser pointers are just awful, and I love these analog sticks. And so I just had to get that just in case I want to show you something. And I want to talk about games, computer games, and I want to talk about computer games for a better life. And in a way, I want to save games, and I hope you join me in building better games and in doing good things with games, and maybe to save the world with games, or to have, well, have a better life quality with games. So, who of you is a game-playing person? So, who plays computer games? Well, a few, yeah, some of them are like this. At the end of the day, or at the end of the week, who of you thinks, gosh, I should have played more computer game, or I should have spent more time with computer games? Or do your parents sometimes tell you, hey kid, why don't you, well, do more computer gaming? Huh? Hardly any parent would say, my kid should play more computer games. How is that with sport? Like, at the end of the week, do you sometimes say, oh, I should have done more sport? Yeah, you do, right? Or your parents might say, well, why don't you do something like go out and do some sport? So why does it happen that we think, well, computer games, well, we do it. We all do it. We're kind of addicted to computer games. And even those who didn't raise their hands, they might even play computer games. So why are we so addicted, and why do we have bad feelings with that? And why do people tell us, or why, or actually, maybe they are evil? So is it the fact that computer games make you fat, lazy, and dumb? So at least some people say so. And there is actually scientific evidence, and that's why I need that stick here to show you. This chart is published in the journal Eating Behavior, a journal on eating behavior. And the authors did a study with computer game players, and they played, you can't read that, MMORPGs, massive multiplayer online role-playing games like World of Warcraft and so on. And they looked at the time that players spend with these games, and they looked at the body mass index, and there is a significant correlation. So the more time they spend computer gaming, the higher the body mass index is. So in short, more game playing time, the fatter you are. Okay? So there's evidence. But is that the case? So are computer games really that bad? And in a way, that's sort of the wrong discussion. Because if you would, well, measure the time people spend eating and the body mass index, you would also have a correlation. The more time people spend eating, the fatter they get, right? So eating is bad. Well, it can't be the case. I mean, if we don't eat, we starve. So we have to eat. So how is it with computer games? Are computer games really that bad? Are they evil? And I want to argue they are not. And it depends on what kind of computer games you're developing and what kind of computer game you're looking at. And I want to talk about some games that we call serious games, or games with a purpose, games that are useful for something. What does that mean? Well, you can have games where you learn something. Well, educational games and so on. You can have games where you contribute data, where you do something useful with games. And you can have games where you actually do physical exercise, so you do the sport thing and the gaming. Well, serious games, who heard about that? Some of you. Is that a recent development, or is that something old? It's old. So where do you have to go to historians, or do we have to go to archaeology to find the origins of serious games? I would say you have to go to paleontologists, because serious games is not an invention of mankind. It's an invention of nature. All higher animals, even birds, play games. And if you go to nature, you find creatures that play games. Here's, by the way, my slide with the cats. So these young kittens play games. Do they get fat? Do they play games just to skip their youth, just to waste time? No, they play games because they learn something. They learn how to catch prey, they learn how to escape predators, they learn social behavior. So nature has evolved gameplay in higher animals in order to make us smarter, in order to make us capable to handle our environment. So game is not something we are addicted to because of some obscure reason. It's because nature invented gameplay in order to make us a higher animal, a better animal, a smarter animal. So gameplay per se is a good invention by nature. So how can we, well, build games where we learn something? And some people even say, whatever game you play, you always learn. Here's an example. I just recently went to the hospital and I had the chance to visit abdominal surgery, and they did it in a laparoscopy. And the guy here in front, he has a tool, a stick-like instrument with a camera at the top, and the other one's doing some other sticks into the belly and doing the surgery. Surgery went fine, and I talked to the surgeon after the surgery, and I asked him, well, for how long did he do that camera task, your colleague? And he told me he did that the first time. And he's not even a doctor. He's a medical student. He's doing his clinical traineeship. And he told me he is that good in doing that task because he's a player of first-person shooter. And male students today who are used to these first-person shooters, they are so good in hand-eye coordination that they can manage this task very well on the first shot. So, well, you can argue with your parents now that it might be good for something, or if you go for surgery treatment, you might want to have a surgeon who did these shooting games before. But there are, of course, better games for learning things, okay? There's a whole bunch of learning games, and there are even training games for doctors and for medical treatments. I don't want to dive into that domain. I want to show you two other domains now of games that are beneficial for something. The first kind of games are games for collecting data. Now here we have Rosie. Rosie is a robot that should help you in your household, so cleaning the dishes, doing the laundry, and doing the cooking for you. For instance, doing pancakes. Pancake cooking is, for humans, or for many humans, an easy task. For robots, not. If robots should learn that task, they have to be trained. We heard about cats and dogs and the distinction of cats and dogs, and if you want to do that by machines, you need a lot of training data in order to train the robots or the machinery to do such things. Now, for this task, we actually need a lot of humans who perform the cooking task with a variation of parameters, pan sizes, different dough types, and so on. So they should like cook for hours and hours and hours and show the robot how to do the thing. Now, how can we bring in games? This is a solution of our students here. This is a tower defense game. Now I'm using this pointer here, it's stupid. This is a tower defense game where, that's still on? Yeah. Here is a line where the enemies come in. They want to escape to the wormhole, and you can place the towers here, and they shoot on these enemies. Now we have different devices, like this thing here, which is a pouring thing, and you add more power to that towers. You have a spatula with which you can replace the towers. And as you see, these tools with which you defend your board, they are mimicking some sort of kitchen utilities. And while the player plays this game, we can collect data for our cooking robot. And it turns out that with this kind of games, they are very easy and you can make them more complicated. We get people to, well, train robots while playing games. They do it voluntarily, and they do it much more motivated, and they actually deliver data of a better quality than if we asked them to do the cooking task. So games can be useful for collecting data. Now, how about getting, well, more healthy through games? Here I want to show you some so-called Exergames. And Exergames are games that are a mixture between digital games and exercises. And we did studies with Parkinson's disease patients. And as you know, Parkinson's disease is a very sad thing. It occurs to people and they get a lot of problems like rigidity, they get this tremor, they have problems with balancing, and there's no cure for it. It's a neurodegenerative disease, and the only thing you can do is, well, do physiotherapy practice, and then you can slow down the process. But these patients have the same problems as we have with sports. It's motivation. So we wanted to see, can games help? And we built a game suite with various games. This is one of them. And here we integrated the exercises people do in their normal physiotherapy into a game. So it's like these hand movements. And the patients then have to collect these stars. And we can adapt the game to the abilities and the capabilities of the patients. The patients are typically like 60 plus. Average age we had in one study was 70. So it's not your age. You're much younger. And it turns out, however, even though these are not hardcore gamers, these people really like to play these games. And we looked also at other older adults, how we can make their life better with Exergames, and we found out it works. And we can use achievements, we can use various types of exercises, and here we had a study with different kinds of cooperative games. So games, computer games, don't necessarily are something that you do alone, but you can do it in a group, you can do it in a community, and it facilitates communication, chatting, interaction of patients. And one great thing about these Exergames is you can really adapt to the person who's doing the exercises. You can get the real personalized exercise for you. If your left hand is stronger than your right hand, you can adapt to your individual capabilities. And it actually works. Now, these are the Exergames for older people. And most of you are much younger, and if we present you this star collecting game, you might be bored very easily. And our students too, they said, well, that's too boring. Let's do something with real, in quotes, real games, like GTA or Portal or a real good game. And here's our solution that we want to propose you. Exercise my game. What we did here, we took an off-the-shelf AAA game, in this case, Portal 2, and then we hijacked the interface. So usually you play it with mouse and keyboard or with a game controller, joystick. And now we said, okay, let's stand up and move. And so we added some Wii controllers, some Kinect devices, and then we turned it into an Exergame. And then you walk through Portal. You can jump in the levels. You can do jumping jacks to open the doors. You can grab things. And you can do all sorts of exercises in order to control the game. So the idea is not we program a new game, but we take a game that is well established, that is good, people like it, and we turn it into an Exergame. And people actually like it. And it's, well, burning calories, you don't get fat, you have the same game experience or even a better game experience. Now, the next thing was, our student said, well, that's not immersive enough. And sort of as a final highlight, I show you what they then invented. We call it suspended walking. So they said, let's build something different. And it involves grandma socks here. They are very important, hand-knitted grandma socks. And it involves this harness here. It's relatively low cost. So such a harness is like 100, 150 euros. You need a hook in the ceiling and grandma socks. This is a V controller for the gun. In Portal, you shoot holes in the gun and you can walk through these holes in the wall. And now the equipment is ready. And you see the socks. And what's important, you have a plate underneath you with a slippery surface. And now they come together and you can And then you can run through the portal level, right? And then you're not anymore a couch potato. And of course, you could imagine to do that, well, together. You can play whatever, hide and seek or something in Portal. So, computer games. Are they really evil? No. Computer games are actually pretty cool. And computer games address something that is very natural in us. Because playing games is something nature invented long, long ago. And we can't get rid of it. We are addicted to games. We love games because it's so natural. And so people just developed games that are awful, that might make us fat and stupid and whatnot. So why not build games that make us productive, that make us smart, and that make us healthy? And this is where we want to go to, and this is what I want to convince you. If you ever end up in the game industry, build games like this. Build games where we can move around, build games where we can learn something, or build games where we can contribute data to some useful problem solving. And in the future, I want to run around in Minecraft, or I want to cycle on my home trainer through Liberty City. I want to play hide and seek in Portal with my kids. And I want to combine all this stuff. And hopefully, in the future, games will be something positive, and we can save games, and games will be something sustainable for our future, and we will have games for a better life.